God says, "Don't test my patience." Listen this right now. God is very angry with you. This is the last time God is flashing this message on your screen. A check of 587 million has been issued in your name. The devil wins if you skip this message. I am not speaking in empty threats or dramatic language, because what you are hearing right now carries weight in the spirit and urgency in your destiny that you cannot afford to ignore or treat lightly. When I say do not test my patience, I am revealing that you have been delaying obedience, postponing trust, and treating holy moments as if they were ordinary interruptions instead of divine appointments. Type 1111 in the comments right now to declare that you receive this word. I am telling you clearly that the check of 587 million represents a release of blessing, favor, restoration, and opportunity that has already been written with your name attached in the courts of heaven. You think this is only about money, but I am speaking about provision in every area where you have struggled, cried in secret, and wondered if I was truly watching over your life. My anger is not the anger of rejection, but the anger of a loving father who sees his child standing at the door of breakthrough, yet hesitating to walk through because of doubt, fear, and distraction. If this is stirring something inside your heart and you feel the seriousness of this moment, take a second to like this video as a sign that you are choosing obedience over delay and faith over fear. I am flashing this before you because time is sensitive, and hesitation feeds the very darkness that wants to see you remain stuck in cycles that I already decided to break. When I say the devil wins if you skip this, I am not playing with your emotions, but exposing the reality that indifference is one of the enemy's strongest weapons against your destiny and your blessing. Every time you scroll past conviction, every time you silence my voice with excuses, you give space to forces that hope you never recognize how close you are to abundance and divine favor. The check of 587 million is a symbol of overflow, because I am not a God of crumbs and leftovers, but a God who prepares tables in front of opposition and pours oil that runs over. I have already issued what you have been praying for, and heaven has recorded it with authority that no demon, no delay, and no human opinion can cancel. My anger rises because I have watched you doubt the very miracles I placed within reach of your hands, and I have seen you question whether you are truly worthy of what I have prepared. You are not being punished, but corrected, because testing my patience comes from repeatedly ignoring instructions that were meant to elevate you and protect you. I am flashing this before you one last time, because I will not force you into blessing, and I will not drag you into obedience against your will. The check has your name written clearly, but you must align your heart with trust, humility, and faith to step into what has already been released. Understand that this is spiritual wealth as much as it is material provision, because 587 million in your name speaks of restoration of years lost, relationships healed, doors opened, and favor multiplied beyond your natural effort. I am angry because you have allowed discouragement to convince you that small thinking is safer than believing for great things that reflect my power. I did not create you to survive barely, scrape by quietly, and hide your calling behind insecurity. I created you to walk boldly, knowing that my protection surrounds you and my hand rests firmly on your future. The devil wants you distracted, tired, and numb, because a distracted heart rarely notices when heaven is depositing answers into its account. When you treat sacred warnings as noise, you slowly train yourself to ignore the very voice that guards your destiny and shields your household. That is why I am firm with you now, because love sometimes raises its voice when whispers have been ignored too many times. Comment Amen below as a declaration that you will no longer test my patience and will step fully into what I have already released. The check of 587 million is not fiction in the spirit, because I measure blessing differently than you measure numbers, and I multiply in ways that exceed logic and human planning. What I have issued carries favor that attracts opportunity, wisdom that generates increase, and peace that guards what I place in your hands. I am calling you to wake up from spiritual laziness and emotional doubt, because this is the last time I am flashing this before you in this season. If you choose obedience now, you will see doors open that once seemed sealed and pathways clear that once felt impossible. My anger is temporary, but my love is everlasting, and even in correction I am protecting you from missing what has already been assigned to your name. You have heard my warning and felt the weight of my anger, and now I am drawing you deeper into the understanding of what this check of 587 million truly means for your life and your future. I am not speaking about random fortune or careless abundance, but about a divine transfer that shifts your position from surviving in fear to standing firmly in favor. What has been issued in your name carries authority, and authority in heaven is never written lightly or without purpose. If you are still here reading with an open heart, write 777 inches the comments to show that you are ready to walk in what has already been assigned to you. The reason I told you not to test my patience is because testing my patience often looks like repeated hesitation when I have already made the path clear in front of you. You pray for increase, yet when I stretch your faith beyond comfort, you shrink back into old patterns that feel familiar but limit your growth. The check of 587 million is a sign that I am expanding your territory, but expansion requires maturity, discipline, and unwavering trust in my voice. I am calling you to rise above small thinking and to stop negotiating with doubt as if doubt deserves a permanent seat at your table. What's really behind the 7-second brain trick exploding online? A leaked CIA ritual is turning heads and bank balances. Backed by neuroscience labs, this at-home method removes money blocks and unlocks unstoppable wealth flow. But the page could vanish any time. Click the link in the first comment before it's permanently deleted. You must understand that spiritual wealth precedes visible wealth, and the greatest transfer begins inside your heart before it manifests in your hands. I have been shaping your character through seasons of waiting, because without character, blessing becomes a burden instead of a testimony. The devil wins when you skip moments like this, because skipping is not just scrolling away, but it is dismissing the correction that protects your destiny from sabotage. My anger came from love, because I refuse to watch you settle for less when I have written increase over your life in bold letters that heaven recognizes. The check of 587 million also represents responsibility, because what I release into your life is meant to bless not only you, but those connected to you through family, influence, and purpose. I am building you into someone who can handle overflow without pride and manage growth without losing humility. Testing my patience is not about a single mistake, but about repeated resistance to the very process that is preparing you for the increase I have already approved. I am inviting you to align your actions with your prayers, so that what has been issued does not remain delayed by your own hesitation. I have seen every sacrifice you made in private, every tear you wiped away when no one noticed your struggle, and every moment you chose integrity even when compromise seemed easier. The check of 587 million is also my acknowledgement that your faithfulness has not gone unseen, even when results seemed slow and doors seemed closed. The anger you felt from me was not rejection, but urgency, because I know how close you are to stepping into a season that changes everything. Comment 1010 below as a declaration that you trust my timing and my plan without pulling back in fear. When I say this is the last time I am flashing this before you, I am teaching you the importance of discernment. because not every opportunity will repeat itself with the same clarity and grace. I do not operate in confusion, and I do not tease my children with blessings that were never real. What has been issued in your name is sealed by my authority, but you must move forward in obedience, discipline, and boldness. The devil hopes you will treat this as emotional exaggeration, but you must see beyond the surface and recognize the spiritual transfer that is unfolding around you. There are habits I am asking you to release, conversations I am asking you to limit, and distractions I am asking you to remove so that you can fully handle what is being placed into your life. The check of 587 million is tied to a mindset shift because abundance cannot flow into a mind that constantly expects loss and disappointment. I am reshaping your thinking so that you see yourself as chosen, favored, and protected, not barely surviving or constantly on the edge of collapse. You are not overlooked in heaven, and your name has been spoken in rooms of glory where destiny is assigned and futures are secured. My anger also carried a warning that complacency can quietly steal what urgency would have preserved, and I refuse to let complacency rob you of what I have already declared yours. I want you awake, attentive, and spiritually sharp, because the season ahead requires clarity and courage. The check of 587 million is not simply a number, but a declaration that your life is shifting from limitation to overflow under my guidance. You must walk carefully, speak wisely, and remain rooted in prayer, because increase without intimacy with me will leave you vulnerable to pride and distraction. You are not alone in this transition, and I am not sending you into unfamiliar territory without my presence surrounding you. My protection covers you as you step into new levels, and my wisdom will guide you in decisions that shape your future. Testing my patience in the past did not cancel your blessing, but it delayed your alignment, and now I am accelerating what was once slowed by hesitation. I am strengthening your faith, so that when doors open, you walk through them with confidence, instead of questioning whether you deserve what I have given. The devil loses power when you stand firm in belief and obedience, because darkness cannot hold territory that light fully occupies. The check of 587 million stands as proof that I am not withholding good from you, but preparing you to steward it with excellence and gratitude. I am teaching you to see wealth as a tool for purpose and testimony, not as a trophy for ego or comparison. As you continue listening with humility, know that my anger has already turned into guidance, and my correction has transformed into direction for your next steps. Stay attentive to my voice in the coming days, because I will continue confirming what I have spoken in ways that align with peace and clarity. Do not shrink back into fear or assume that bold faith is reckless, because obedience to me is never reckless when it is rooted in trust. The check of 587 million remains issued, and heaven has not withdrawn what was signed in your name. Walk forward, knowing that I am with you, shaping you, and leading you into the fullness of what has already been prepared for your life. What stands between you and its manifestation is not my hesitation, but your alignment with the responsibility and faith required to carry such increase without losing your center. If you receive this with humility and courage, write 1212 in the comments as a declaration that you are stepping into this new level with trust. When I told you not to test my patience, I was confronting a pattern that has quietly delayed your growth, because you often wait for visible proof before you move in obedience. I have been asking you to prepare as if the check of 587 million is real, yet you have been preparing as if nothing is about to change. This difference in expectation affects your decisions, your discipline, and even the way you speak about your future. I am reshaping your inner posture so that you live with readiness instead of doubt, because readiness honors the blessing that has already been issued. The secret ritual they never wanted public is finally out. A 7-second brain technique, backed by leaked CIA data and 4 neuroscience labs, is helping families erase debt and attract money on autopilot. But this miracle won't stay public long. Click the link in the description and comments now before it's gone forever. There are doors that are beginning to unlock around you, and you may not even notice them yet because you have become accustomed to closed spaces and limited options. I am expanding your perspective so you can recognize opportunity when it appears in forms that do not look dramatic but carry long-term impact. The check of 587 million represents sustained increase, not a sudden burst followed by emptiness. I am building a foundation under you that can support the weight of success without cracking under pressure. You must let go of the belief that you are too flawed or too late to receive something of this magnitude, because that belief insults the power of my grace and the depth of my redemption. I do not issue blessing based on perfection, but on purpose, and your life carries purpose that cannot be cancelled by past mistakes. Testing my patience in previous seasons did not disqualify you, but it revealed areas where your trust needed strengthening. I am strengthening you now so that when increase arrives, you stand steady and grateful rather than overwhelmed and confused. The enemy would prefer you stay comfortable with struggle because struggle feels familiar and predictable, while abundance requires courage and a new way of thinking. The check of 587 million is a sign that I am moving you from survival into stewardship, and stewardship demands focus and wisdom. I am teaching you to manage small responsibilities with excellence so that larger responsibilities can flow into your hands without chaos. Comment 555 below to declare that you are ready to handle what has been prepared for you with maturity and integrity. There will be voices that question the scale of what I am doing in your life, and some may even suggest that you should lower your expectations to avoid disappointment. You must guard your heart against those voices, because I am not calling you to shrink to fit the comfort of others. The check of 587 million is evidence that I do not think small when I think about you, and I am not limited by the opinions of those who cannot see what I see. Stay close to me in prayer and reflection, because intimacy with me will keep you grounded as your circumstances begin to rise. I am also calling you to examine your habits, because increase without discipline quickly turns into waste instead of blessing. You cannot pray for overflow while living carelessly in areas that require structure and responsibility. I am giving you wisdom to organize your time, your resources, and your focus, so that when the visible increase arrives, you are not scrambling to adjust. The check of 587 million is a preparation season as much as it is a promise, because what I release into your life must be matched by growth in your character. Do not misunderstand my earlier anger as distance, because even in correction I remained close, watching over you and protecting you from unseen harm. My firmness was a shield, not a rejection, and it was meant to wake you up before complacency hardened into resistance. The devil hoped you would misinterpret my correction as abandonment, but I was guarding the blessing by guarding your heart. You are not being scolded into fear, but guided into alignment so that what has been issued in your name can flow without obstruction. In the coming days, you may feel an unusual stirring inside you, a sense that something is shifting, even if you cannot yet define it in clear words. That stirring is part of the transition from limitation to expansion, and it is my spirit reminding you that the check of 587 million is not an empty statement. I am moving pieces behind the scenes, aligning conversations, opportunities, and connections that will support what I have already declared. Your role is to remain faithful, attentive, and disciplined, trusting that what is unfolding is not random, but carefully orchestrated. You are chosen for this level of increase because you have endured seasons that refined you instead of breaking you completely. The pain you survived built resilience that will help you carry abundance without arrogance. I am turning your past disappointments into lessons that strengthen your stewardship and deepen your compassion for others. The check of 587 million is not only about what you gain, but about how you will become a channel of blessing to those who once stood where you stood. Keep your heart soft and your mind focused, because distraction is still a strategy the enemy will attempt to use as your season shifts. Do not allow temporary emotions or external noise to derail the alignment you are building right now. I am with you in this process, guiding your steps and protecting your path as you move toward what has already been written in your name. Stay steady, stay humble, and remember that what I have issued carries my authority, my timing, and my unwavering commitment to see it fulfilled in your life. Comment 1212 below to declare that you are stepping into alignment with what has already been prepared for you. I need you to grasp that my earlier anger was never meant to push you away, but to awaken you from spiritual carelessness that was quietly slowing down your breakthrough. When you test my patience by hesitating repeatedly, you are not proving independence. You are revealing fear that still needs healing and trust that still needs strengthening. The check of 587 million represents a divine shift, but shifts require movement, and movement requires courage that refuses to stay trapped in yesterday's disappointments. I am strengthening your inner foundation so that when this increase becomes visible, you are not overwhelmed by it or intimidated by its size. Is this leaked CIA ritual the missing key to your financial breakthrough? A once hidden brain ritual is spreading fast. This strange 7-second method, confirmed by elite neuroscience labs, activates your brain's wealth magnet. The government may shut this down. If you're seeing this, you are God's chosen child. Click the link in the description and comments before it's deleted. There are patterns I am breaking in your bloodline because the blessing attached to your name is larger than your personal comfort and wider than your immediate circle. The 587 million in your name carries generational impact, and I am using your obedience to rewrite narratives that once spoke limitation over your family. The enemy hoped that cycles of fear, lack, and doubt would continue unchallenged, but I have stepped into your story with authority that silences those patterns at their root. My patience was tested when you doubted whether you were capable of carrying something so large, yet I have already equipped you with what you need. You must understand that increase from me always carries purpose, because I do not release abundance simply for display, but for influence that reflects my goodness and power. The check of 587 million symbolizes doors that will open beyond your previous access, relationships that will shift into alignment, and opportunities that will stretch your vision beyond comfort. I am not raising you to impress people, but to demonstrate that my hand can lift someone who once felt invisible and place them in rooms of significance. The devil loses ground every time you accept that my favor is real and that my promises over your life are not exaggerated. There will be moments ahead where doubt attempts to whisper that this is too much, too sudden, or too good to be true, but those whispers will not carry the authority of my voice. I am training your ears to recognize truth over fear and faith over anxiety, because discernment will guard what I place in your hands. The check of 587 million is also a test of stewardship, because abundance requires wisdom, generosity, and humility that refuses to be corrupted by pride. Comment 555 below as a sign that you are ready to handle blessing with integrity and grace. I am aligning circumstances in ways you cannot yet fully see, because preparation often happens behind scenes that your natural eyes cannot access. There are conversations being positioned, doors being unlocked, and favor being stirred in places that once felt distant from your reach. When I said this is the last time I am flashing this before you, I meant that the season of repeated warnings is ending and the season of visible action is beginning. You are not waiting for the check of 587 million to be written because it has already been issued. And now you are stepping into the season where alignment meets manifestation. Do not return to small prayers or timid expectations after hearing what I have declared, because shrinking your faith would only slow what I am accelerating. My patience was tested by your tendency to minimize your calling, but my love refused to let you remain unaware of what stands before you. The blessing in your name is not random, and it is not an accident that you encountered these words at this exact time in your journey. I orchestrate moments with precision, and I do not allow divine appointments to fall into your life without intention and purpose. I am strengthening your character so that when the 587 million level of increase begins to show in tangible ways, you remain anchored in gratitude rather than drifting into pride. Remember that the power behind this issuance comes from me, and every good thing that flows into your life remains connected to my guidance and protection. I am not only giving you provision, I am giving you clarity, resilience, and discernment, so that what is released into your life becomes a testimony rather than a burden. The devil hoped that distraction would keep you from recognizing this shift, but your continued attention proves that his strategy is weakening. There will be adjustments required in how you manage your time, your relationships, and your priorities, because greater influence requires greater discipline. The check of 587 million is not simply about gain, it is about transformation in how you see yourself and how you represent my name in every space you enter. I am inviting you to walk boldly without arrogance and confidently without comparison, because your journey is uniquely designed and cannot be measured against someone else's timeline. What I am doing in your life is specific to you, and it reflects the depth of my intention for your future. Stand firm in the assurance that I am guiding you through this transition with steady hands and unwavering love. My earlier anger has already given way to instruction, and my correction has become preparation for your next level. The check of 587 million remains active, and nothing in the spirit realm has revoked what heaven has authorized in your name. Continue moving forward in obedience, gratitude, and faith, because the season you are stepping into will reveal that my warning was protection, my anger was urgency, and my promise was always real. The impatience I showed you earlier was not a threat hanging over your head, but a holy urgency pushing you out of comfort and into alignment with what I have authorized. Comment 999 below to declare that you refuse to shrink back from what has been written in your name. You must understand that when I say the check of 587 million has been issued, I am speaking from a place of completed action in the spiritual realm, not from a place of hopeful intention. Heaven does not operate on uncertainty, and what I sign carries permanence that human doubt cannot erase. The delay you have experienced was never about my refusal to bless you, but about your readiness to steward what I have already prepared. I will not release visible overflow into hands that are still learning how to value the small responsibilities placed before them. There are disciplines I have been building in you quietly, such as consistency in prayer, growth in patience, and a deeper awareness of your words and attitudes. These disciplines are not random lessons, because they are the framework that will support the 587 million level of increase that is moving toward manifestation. testing my patience often looked like complaining about timing while neglecting preparation, yet I remained faithful to shape you even when you resisted growth. My love refused to abandon the process, because the blessing attached to your name carries purpose far beyond temporary comfort. The devil hoped that frustration would convince you to settle for less, because settling keeps you small and predictable, and smallness is easier for darkness to manage. When you stay attentive to my voice, you step out of that predictable pattern and into territory where favor surrounds you like a shield. The check of 587 million represents expansion, and expansion disrupts the plans of the enemy who prefers you limited and distracted. You are not being elevated for pride, but for impact that reflects my power and goodness in places that once seemed closed to you. What if 7 seconds is all it takes to flip your financial fate? A shocking CIA leak just exposed a hidden brain ritual helping ordinary people erase debt and pull in massive wealth. Backed by 4 neuroscience labs, this at-home method is turning struggle into luxury fast. But this page could be erased any moment. Click the link in the first comment now before it's gone forever. There will be financial shifts, relational shifts, and internal shifts, because increase from me touches every layer of your life. I am not only blessing your bank account, I am strengthening your mind, stabilizing your emotions, and sharpening your discernment so that what flows into your life remains protected. The impatience I expressed earlier was a warning against casual faith, because casual faith cannot sustain extraordinary blessing. Comment 222 below to declare that you are choosing disciplined faith over distracted living. You must stop seeing yourself as barely qualified for small opportunities and begin seeing yourself as entrusted with something significant. The check of 587 million in your name is a reflection of how I view your capacity, not how you have viewed yourself in moments of insecurity. I see potential that you have not fully embraced, and I see strength that you have underestimated during seasons of pressure. My correction was never about condemnation, but about aligning your self-perception with the truth of who you are in my design. As this season unfolds, you will notice that certain relationships begin to shift naturally, because not everyone assigned to your past can accompany you into your next level. I am not removing people to harm you, but to protect the increase that is attached to your obedience. The check of 587 million level of blessing requires an environment of trust, wisdom, and mutual growth, not constant negativity or subtle sabotage. Stay attentive to the peace I place in your heart, because peace will guide you where noise once confused you. You may feel moments of awe when signs of alignment begin appearing, because what once felt distant will start moving closer with unusual clarity. Do not let fear interrupt that clarity, because fear will attempt to label growth as risk instead of calling it advancement. I am not leading you into reckless territory, but into prepared spaces where my provision has already gone before you. The impatience I showed was urgency rooted in love, because I refuse to let hesitation steal a season that has already been marked for breakthrough. The check of 587 million is also a test of gratitude, because gratitude keeps your heart soft and your perspective grounded as increase becomes visible. I am teaching you to celebrate progress without losing humility, and to manage success without forgetting the source of your strength. The enemy loses influence every time you give me credit openly and walk in integrity quietly. You are not rising alone, because my presence surrounds you, and my wisdom continues guiding each step forward. Remain steady in discipline, generous in spirit, and attentive to the small instructions I place in your daily routine. Great transitions are often secured by consistent obedience in ordinary moments, not by dramatic gestures alone. What I have issued in your name has not expired, and it has not been withdrawn because of your previous doubts. Continue moving forward with courage, because what is unfolding will confirm that tolls. My warning was protection, my impatience was love, and the 587 million level of blessing remains firmly established over your life. You are moving deeper into this understanding now, and I can see that your heart is no longer reacting with fear but with awakening, because something inside you has begun to accept that the check of 587 million written in your name carries divine authority and purpose. I am not speaking in exaggeration, and I am not stirring emotion without foundation, because what I declare over your life stands on the power of my word and the permanence of my will. The impatience I showed earlier was the voice of urgency, pushing you to wake up fully and recognize the weight of what has already been authorized. Comment 1515 below to declare that you are fully awake and aligned with what has been issued in your name. The check of 587 million is not simply about visible currency, because I measure wealth in layers that reach beyond numbers and accounts. It represents restored confidence where insecurity once lived, restored opportunity where doors once stayed shut, and restored momentum where delay once slowed you down. I have been rebuilding areas of your life quietly, so that when increase becomes obvious, it rests on a foundation that will not collapse under pressure. Testing. My patience in the past often looked like doubting whether you were capable of sustaining such growth, yet I have already prepared you through lessons you once misunderstood. You have survived seasons that felt unfair and exhausting, but those seasons carved strength into your character that cannot be purchased or borrowed. The 587 million level of blessing attached to your name requires resilience that only experience can produce, and I have allowed you to pass through fire without being consumed, so that you would be refined rather than destroyed. The enemy hoped that hardship would convince you to expect less from me, but hardship was shaping you for more than you realized. My earlier anger confronted that shrinking expectation, because I refused to let you settle beneath the level I have ordained for you. There are shifts already taking place around you that may seem subtle now, but they are signals of a larger realignment moving into position. Conversations will begin to open in your favor, doors will respond differently to your presence, and opportunities will carry an unusual sense of confirmation that you will recognize as my hand. The check of 587 million is not a distant promise waiting on luck, but a declared authorization waiting on full alignment of faith and discipline. Comment 1717 below to declare that you are ready to walk through doors that once seemed closed. People are asking why money is suddenly flowing into random lives. A leaked CIA discovery reveals a 7-second brain ritual that quietly rewires your mind for wealth. Proven by 4 neuroscience labs, people are wiping out debt and stepping into luxury with ease. If you're seeing this, you're very lucky. Click the link in the description and comments before it disappears. You must remain careful not to let pride creep in as you sense growth approaching, because humility protects blessing in ways that talent alone never can. I am not lifting you to compete with others or to prove a point, but to demonstrate that my grace transforms ordinary stories into extraordinary testimonies. The 587 million level of increase will not isolate you from my presence if you remain rooted in gratitude and obedience. I am reminding you that the source of your elevation is me, and the stability of your future rests in continued dependence on my guidance. Testing my patience previously revealed areas where distraction had quietly gained access to your focus, pulling you into habits that diluted your preparation. I am calling you now into sharper awareness, because greater blessing requires greater attention to detail and greater intentionality in daily choices. The check of 587 million carries responsibility to steward wisely, give generously, and lead humbly without losing balance. I am shaping you into someone who can handle expansion without losing peace and handle influence without losing identity. As this season unfolds, you will notice that fear attempts to whisper questions about sustainability and longevity, but those whispers do not carry my authority. I am not giving you a temporary rise followed by collapse, because what I build is meant to endure and multiply. The impatience I expressed earlier was a final wake-up call before acceleration begins, because I will not allow hesitation to continue slowing what has already been signed in heaven. The devil loses ground every time you stand firm in belief that my provision is real and my promise is secure. Your obedience now matters more than ever, because small decisions made in this stage will affect how smoothly you transition into the fullness of what has been issued. Discipline in private will strengthen stability in public, and integrity in hidden moments will guard influence in visible spaces. The check of 587 million is not an abstract figure floating in imagination, but a declaration that your life is shifting into a season of overflow guided by my hand. Remain attentive to my instructions, because I will continue confirming what I have spoken through peace, clarity, and steady opportunity. You are not alone in this elevation, and I am not stepping back as you step forward, because my presence will accompany every advancement and every adjustment. The correction you felt earlier has already transformed into direction, and the warning has become preparation for manifestation. What I have issued remains active, and nothing in the spirit has revoked or reduced what carries your name. Continue walking with courage, humility, and unwavering faith, because the 587 million level of blessing stands as proof that powerful, my authority over your life is both powerful and intentional. You must recognize that the 587 million level of blessing carries weight, and weight requires structure to support it without collapse. I have been strengthening your inner structure quietly, teaching you self-control, discernment, and consistency in ways that may have seemed ordinary at the time. Those lessons were not random inconveniences, but reinforcement beams placed inside your character so that when increase becomes visible, it rests on something stable. Testing my patience in the past often meant resisting those small disciplines, yet I continued shaping you because I refused to let you break under the very blessing you prayed for. There are environments you will soon enter that require confidence without arrogance and clarity without confusion, and I am preparing you for those rooms right now. The check of 587 million is not about sudden fame or shallow recognition, but about influence that reflects my wisdom and generosity. You will notice that conversations begin to carry more weight when you speak, because growth in authority changes how others perceive your presence. This shift is not accidental, and it is not self-generated, because it flows from the alignment you are building with my direction. The devil hoped that comfort would lull you into complacency before acceleration began, because complacency quietly drains urgency and dulls discernment. I disrupted that comfort with firm words so that you would awaken fully before this transition moves forward. The 587 million in your name represents expansion that demands awareness, and awareness requires attentiveness to my voice above every other influence. Comment 888 below to declare that you choose spiritual sharpness over distraction and clarity over confusion. You must also understand that increase will test your relationships, because not everyone understands growth they have not experienced. Some will celebrate you sincerely, while others may feel threatened by progress they cannot control or predict. I am guiding you to respond with grace rather than defensiveness, because maturity protects blessing from unnecessary conflict. The check of 587 million level of favor will reveal who aligns with your next chapter and who was only assigned to previous seasons. Remain grounded in gratitude as signs of manifestation begin appearing, because gratitude anchors you to truth when momentum increases quickly. I am not lifting you so that you forget where you came from, but so that you remember my faithfulness through every stage of your journey. The impatience I showed was a final call to awaken your expectation, because expectation shapes preparation, and preparation shapes manifestation. What has been issued in your name is active, and heaven is not reconsidering the authorization. You may feel moments of awe when doors respond differently to your effort and opportunities align with unusual smoothness. Do not allow disbelief to sabotage those moments by convincing yourself they are coincidence. The 587 million level of blessing is designed to create visible evidence of my involvement in your life. I am not hiding my hand, and I am not ashamed to demonstrate my favor when you walk in obedience and humility. Discipline must remain your companion in this transition, because consistency keeps growth sustainable rather than chaotic. Manage your time with intention, guard your words carefully, and maintain generosity even before visible overflow appears. The check of 587 million reflects abundance that flows through you, not only to you, and generosity keeps that flow healthy and protected. When you give with wisdom and gratitude, you align your heart with my nature rather than drifting towards selfishness. Why is everyone rushing to this 7-second brain ritual? Leaked CIA files exposed a hidden brainwave technique that opens the door to wealth fast. Verified by 4 top neuroscience labs, it's turning financial stress into abundance almost overnight. But this secret won't stay public for long. Click the link in the pinned comments before it's deleted forever. You are stepping into a phase where alignment and manifestation begin meeting more visibly, and this requires steady faith rather than emotional fluctuation. I am not withdrawing my presence as your circumstances expand, because expansion without intimacy would leave you vulnerable. The impatience you felt earlier was protection disguised as urgency, because I refuse to let you drift into a season that demands focus without first sharpening your awareness. The devil loses influence every time you stand firm in disciplined faith instead of reacting to fear. Keep your heart attentive and your mind disciplined, because the weight of what has been issued will soon feel more tangible than theoretical. I am guiding your steps with precision, and I am strengthening your resolve so that success does not intimidate you or distract you from purpose. The check of 587 million remains firmly established in your name, and nothing in the spiritual realm has reduced its value or revoked its authority. Continue forward with humility, courage, and unwavering trust, because what I have declared over your life will unfold in ways that confirm my correction was love, my urgency was protection, and my promise remains powerful and secure. I need you to understand that when heaven authorizes something of this magnitude, the environment around you begins adjusting even before you notice visible change. There are shifts happening in timing, access, and favor that are subtle now but will soon become undeniable. The 587 million level of blessing attached to your name is moving through layers of alignment that require both patience and discipline. I have been teaching you endurance so that you do not grow restless in the final stretch before manifestation becomes visible. Testing my patience once meant ignoring small instructions that felt insignificant, but those small instructions were the stepping stones that lead to larger doors. I am showing you that obedience in simple matters protects blessing in significant matters. The check of 587 million is not a reckless windfall, because I do not release overflow into chaos. I am building order in your habits, stability in your decisions, and clarity in your priorities, so that when expansion arrives, it settles smoothly rather than creating confusion. There will be moments where you feel both excitement and nervousness, because growth often carries unfamiliar territory with it. Do not mistake that nervousness for danger, because I am not leading you into harm, but into enlargement. The 587 million level of increase represents access to spaces you once believed were reserved for others, yet I am rewriting that belief with truth. You are not intruding where you do not belong, because what I issue with your name is invitation backed by authority. Stay rooted in prayer as momentum builds, because intimacy with me keeps you steady when pace accelerates. I am not replacing your dependence with independence, but strengthening your partnership with my guidance. Comment 333 below to declare that you will remain anchored in faith as your circumstances expand. This declaration is not about performance, but about alignment that protects your future from unnecessary turbulence. You may notice that your perspective is already shifting because you are beginning to think in terms of stewardship rather than survival. That shift is evidence that preparation is working within you, shaping how you handle both small and large responsibilities. The check of 587 million requires a mindset that sees opportunity as assignment rather than accident. I am cultivating wisdom in you so that when influence increases, your character remains steady and your gratitude remains visible. The enemy will attempt subtle distractions, not loud attacks, because subtle distractions feel harmless while quietly draining focus. Guard your time carefully, because your time is part of the stewardship attached to this season. The 587 million level of blessing demands attention to priorities that align with purpose rather than impulses that lead nowhere. My earlier impatience was protection against drift, because drifting is how many lose what they were prepared to receive. You are not being rushed into something fragile, because what I build is meant to endure beyond a single moment. I am constructing longevity into this blessing so that it multiplies instead of fading. The check of 587 million is tied to sustainable growth that reflects my faithfulness rather than temporary excitement. Continue strengthening your discipline, refining your decisions, and nurturing your relationship with me, because those elements create stability that outlasts circumstances. There will be confirmations along the way that reassure you that alignment is unfolding correctly. Pay attention to peace, because peace will accompany doors that are truly from me. When opportunities feel chaotic or manipulative, step back and listen carefully, because wisdom will guard what I have placed in your name. The 587 million level of blessing does not require desperation, because what I authorize does not demand panic to secure it. Remain humble as progress becomes visible, because humility keeps your heart open to continued instruction. Pride would attempt to convince you that growth is self-made, but you know that every advancement traces back to my hand. I am lifting you carefully, not recklessly, and I am protecting your steps as elevation increases. The check of 587 million stands as evidence that my provision is deliberate and my promises are backed by power. Continue forward with steady courage, knowing that what was once spoken as warning has transformed into unfolding reality. My impatience was the alarm clock that prevented you from missing your appointed hour. What has been issued in your name remains active, and nothing has reduced its value or authority. Walk confidently, remain disciplined, and trust that what I have declared will manifest in ways that confirm my urgency was love, and my blessing was always securely established over your life. The 587 million level of blessing is tied to preparation that has been happening quietly for longer than you realized. There were conversations that did not go your way, opportunities that seemed to close, and delays that felt unnecessary. Yet each of those moments redirected you into alignment with something stronger. I was protecting the scale of what is attached to your name by preventing you from settling into smaller spaces that could not support your next level. Testing my patience once meant resisting those redirections, but now you are beginning to see that every detour was strategic. Is this the same CIA brain ritual changing lives in seconds? A new leak reveals a powerful 7-second technique developed under secret research. Backed by neuroscience, people are moving from debt to wealth and luxury faster than believed possible. But this secret may be deleted soon. Click the link in the comments before it disappears. You must guard your thoughts carefully in this season, because belief shapes how you handle acceleration. If you believe you are unworthy, you will sabotage progress without even realizing it. If you believe you are chosen and prepared, you will steward growth with gratitude and discipline. The check of 587 million is not about ego or comparison, but about assignment that requires confidence rooted in me, rather than insecurity rooted in the past. There will be moments where progress feels almost too smooth, and you may be tempted to brace for disaster simply because you have grown accustomed to struggle. I am retraining your expectations so that peace no longer feels suspicious and favor no longer feels temporary. The 587 million level of blessing reflects my consistency, not random luck, and what I build is not designed to collapse overnight. Comment 1313 below to declare that you are releasing fear of loss and embracing stability in faith. I am also calling you to refine how you speak about your future, because your words must align with what has been issued. Speaking doubt over what I have authorized creates unnecessary tension within your own heart. The check of 587 million in your name requires language that reflects trust, gratitude, and readiness rather than hesitation. I am teaching you to speak with expectation, because expectation keeps your posture aligned with manifestation. Do not be surprised if new responsibilities begin appearing even before visible overflow, because responsibility often precedes reward. I am expanding your capacity gradually so that when increase arrives in full, you are already functioning at a higher level of discipline. The 587 million level of blessing demands structure, and I have been strengthening your ability to manage complexity without losing peace. My earlier impatience was correction against carelessness, because carelessness cannot coexist with abundance that carries purpose. There may be individuals who do not understand the shift happening in your life, and some may interpret your focus as distance. Remain kind, but remain clear, because clarity protects alignment from unnecessary compromise. The check of 587 million represents a new chapter, and new chapters sometimes require adjusting how you invest your energy and time. You are not abandoning people, but you are prioritizing purpose over distraction. Stay deeply connected to me as your anchor, because success without intimacy leads to imbalance. I am not elevating you to stand alone, but to stand firm with me guiding each step. The 587 million level of blessing is sustained by continued dependence on my wisdom, not by self-reliance alone. I am walking beside you through this transition, ensuring that growth remains healthy rather than overwhelming. You are also being called into generosity that flows naturally rather than performatively, because true abundance is measured by impact as much as possession. The check of 587 million carries influence that can restore, uplift, and provide in ways that reflect my heart. I am shaping you into someone who gives wisely, leads humbly, and manages growth with integrity. Comment 1414 below to declare that you accept both the blessing and the responsibility that comes with it. The enemy may attempt one final wave of distraction before visible manifestation becomes undeniable, because distraction is easier to deploy than direct opposition. Guard your focus carefully, and do not let trivial matters consume energy meant for preparation. The 587 million level of blessing is too significant to be delayed by careless attention. My earlier impatience was protection against this very drift, because I will not let you miss what has already been secured. You are not chasing something uncertain, because what I have issued stands firm regardless of how you feel on any given day. Feelings may fluctuate, but my authorization does not. The check of 587 million remains active in your name, and nothing in the unseen realm has revoked it or reduced its value. Continue walking forward with humility, discipline, and unwavering trust, because what I have declared over your life is approaching visible confirmation, and my urgency has always been rooted in love and protection. I need you to recognize that the 587 million level of blessing carries spiritual opposition, not because it is fragile, but because it is powerful. Darkness resists what carries impact, and impact is written over your life in bold letters. I have been fortifying your faith so that resistance does not intimidate you or push you back into old patterns of hesitation. Testing my patience in earlier seasons meant doubting your ability to handle resistance, yet I have already placed resilience inside you that you did not fully acknowledge. You will begin noticing that certain efforts produce greater results than before because alignment amplifies efficiency. When your heart, mind, and actions align with what I have authorized, momentum increases naturally. The check of 587 million is tied to this alignment because abundance flows more smoothly when obedience is consistent. I am teaching you to trust steady progress rather than chasing dramatic signs that distract from sustainable growth. Guard your humility carefully, because humility keeps blessing anchored in gratitude rather than pride. The 587 million level of increase is not meant to elevate you above others in arrogance, but to position you where your influence reflects my character. I am shaping you to handle visibility with grace and responsibility, because growth without character would damage both you and those connected to you. Comment 1818 below to declare that you choose humility as you rise into greater influence. There will be decisions ahead that require wisdom rather than impulse, because abundance multiplies the consequences of both good and careless choices. I am sharpening your discernment so that you pause before acting and pray before committing. The check of 587 million in your name demands thoughtful stewardship, and stewardship thrives when guided by prayerful clarity. My impatience earlier was a reminder that casual thinking cannot coexist with extraordinary responsibility. You are also being prepared emotionally, because increase can stir unexpected reactions within your own heart. Joy may be accompanied by pressure, and excitement may be accompanied by unfamiliar expectations. I am stabilizing your emotions so that you do not swing between extremes when circumstances shift. The 587 million level of blessing is meant to bring peace alongside prosperity, not chaos alongside growth. Do you know why people keep whispering about this 7-second CIA ritual? A leaked brainwave method is spreading quietly and changing financial realities worldwide. Proven by neuroscience, this simple ritual attracts money, freedom, and luxury. If you're seeing this, you're so lucky. Click the link in the comments before it's taken down. As this unfolds, do not underestimate the importance of gratitude in small moments, because gratitude keeps your perspective balanced. I am not asking you to wait until everything manifests to be thankful, because thankfulness now strengthens alignment for what is coming. The check of 587 million is evidence of my generosity, and generosity should awaken generosity within you. When you give wisely, and live with open hands. You reflect the heart behind the blessing rather than clinging to it in fear. The enemy may attempt to whisper that this growth will isolate you or create distance from people you love, but I am guiding you in a way that preserves healthy connections while refining unhealthy ones. You are not stepping into loneliness, but into purposeful positioning. The 587 million level of blessing is not about separation, but about alignment with those who support growth rather than undermine it. Remain attentive to the peace I place in your heart when navigating relationships, because peace will signal what is healthy. Stay disciplined in your routines, because consistency stabilizes expansion. Small acts of integrity, repeated daily, create a foundation that can support visible increase without instability. The check of 587 million remains active, and nothing has altered its authorization in the unseen realm. What I declared stands firm, and manifestation is moving closer with every step of obedience you take. You are not being rushed into recklessness, because what I build is designed to endure beyond a single season. My urgency was about awareness, not panic, because panic would weaken your judgment rather than strengthen it. The 587 million level of blessing reflects intentional design, and intentional design requires thoughtful stewardship. I am guiding you steadily, so that when doors open fully, you walk through them with calm confidence rather than frantic excitement. Continue forward with trust that my correction was protection and my impatience was love. What has been issued in your name remains secure under my authority, and nothing in the Spirit has revoked it. Walk boldly, remain humble, and keep your focus clear, because what I have spoken over your life is not fading into silence, but moving steadily toward visible confirmation that will reveal the depth of my faithfulness and the power behind my word. You have reached a point where your spirit feels the nearness of change, and that nearness is not imagination, but alignment, finally catching up with authorization. The check of 587 million in your name has been standing in the spirit realm like a signed decree, waiting for the final layers of preparation to complete their work within you. My earlier impatience was never about withdrawing what I promised, but about accelerating your maturity so that when visible increase arrives, it does not overwhelm your stability. Comment 2323 below to declare that you are prepared internally for what is about to manifest externally. The 587 million level of blessing is not only about provision, but about repositioning. I am shifting how you see yourself, how others see you, and how opportunity responds to you. When heaven authorizes repositioning, it begins subtly through mindset changes before it becomes obvious in circumstance. Testing my patience in earlier seasons meant clinging to an outdated identity that no longer matched what I had written over your life. You are not who you were when you first heard this declaration, because growth has already begun reshaping your confidence and sharpening your awareness.